Hello, and welcome to Respiratory System Day 3. We're going to go ahead and get started with Unit 5, I think Day 6, but Respiratory System Day 3. We're talking about anaerobic and aerobic exercise. Let's go ahead and begin. All right, so we are talking about how can we differentiate between aerobic or respiration in the presence of oxygen or anaerobic, meaning no oxygen respiration. So ATP is used as a source of energy for our cells to perform work. This molecule is produced by the process of cellular respiration. This process uses oxygen and glucose to produce ATP. To produce carbon dioxide, H2O, and most importantly, energy in the form of ATP. And as we hopefully recall, this process occurs in the mitochondria. But we're about to talk about aerobic and anaerobic exercise. What is the difference? And again, aerobic occurs in the presence of oxygen, so that involves cellular respiration. But then when we do not have oxygen, we can also make ATP, but it works a little bit differently. And that happens without oxygen present. So in simplest terms, the difference between aerobic and anaerobic exercise comes down to oxygen. With aerobic exercise, oxygen is carried through your breath to the muscles, giving them the energy needed, and bloodstream, giving them the energy needed to sustain the effort. Oxygen, however, is not present with anaerobic exercise, right? And without aerobic oxygen or aero oxygen exercise. So, aerobic exercise. Exercise requires energy. When we exercise aerobically, our bodies use glycogen, glucose that is stored in the liver and muscle cells, and fat as fuel. This low to moderate level of exertion can be sustained over long periods. As you breathe more heavily with exertion, carbon dioxide is expelled from your body, right? You start breathing heavily. Lactic acid is not produced as it is with anaerobic exercise. So when we do anaerobic exercise, this compound, lactic acid, is produced. Aerobic exercise burns fat, improves mood, strengthens the heart and lungs, and reduces your risk of diabetes. Also, hypertension, heart attack. Exercise is really great for you. You should do lots of exercise, but not too much exercise. Again, we want to maintain a stable internal environment, which includes a moderate exercise routine. So, aerobic exercises typically including running at a comfortable pace. Again, see not too intense, comfortable pace, swimming, and biking. These are exercises that are sometimes referred to as cardio or aerobics. And that's because they involve lots of heavy breathing. You're working at a moderate pace, so you're getting lots of oxygen into your body, flowing through your body. You're completing cellular respiration in the presence of oxygen many times. And this is good for your body. But you can also do exercise in a different way. Anaerobic exercise. Oxygen is not present with anaerobic exercise. And why is that? So when we exercise anaerobically, glycogen is used as fuel. Once all the glycogen has been depleted, usually in about 2 hours, you can expect to hit the proverbial wall. Endurance athletes avoid this performance buster with carbo loading before exercise, which, when converted to sugar, gives more energy. So, when you eat a lot of like pasta, for example, not something heavy in sugar, remember, because when we eat glucose, our body is just immediately able to get that energy. And as a result, we convert it to fat because we're not able to use that energy efficiently right away. We're not able to use all of that energy at once unless you, I guess, immediately go sprinting. But that, probably might make you puke. So instead, what endurance runners might do, let's say before running a really long race, like a marathon, they might eat like a large amount of starchy carbs like pasta or potatoes in order to give them a long lasting sustainable energy the following day. And also having supplements during their exercise that have glucose to sustain their energy, right? Glucose and electrolytes. So during anaerobic exercise, however, your body builds up this compound lactic acid, and this causes discomfort and fatigue at sustained levels, which we're going to observe in the Making Connections lab. For this reason, anaerobic exercise or high intensity exercise, sometimes called high intensity interval training exercise, where you're doing short bursts for a long sustained period of time, like, for example, sprinting here. So, for this reason, anaerobic exercise or high intensity exercise happens in short bursts. It may be helpful to consider the difference between a sprinter and a marathoner. Sprinting is an all out effort. So, that's why you immediately, when you're going all out, burn up your O2. So, then what happens after you burn up your O2? You have anaerobic or without oxygen cellular respiration. This also helps to build lean muscle mass because it's burning fat, breaking down fat cells very quickly. During anaerobic exercise, calories are burned more efficiently in bodies that have more muscle. This exercise also helps to build lean muscle mass a great deal. It helps to build endurance and fitness levels. These exercises typically include weightlifting, sprinting, and other high intensity exercises where your body is working at an intense, high level. You're using a high amount of ATP in a specific area. So, for example, if you go to lift up something extremely heavy, that's using a really high amount of ATP in one specific area, right? Let's say like your biceps or your back, whatever part of your body is lifting something. If it's very heavy, those muscles need to use a lot of energy really quickly. That's high intensity. That's like what we're talking about. So why are anaerobic exercise done in short bursts of time? Because they are intense. They cannot be done for long periods. All right. So, aerobic respiration is when the body is able to supply cells with oxygen and glucose. It occurs in the mitochondria of the cell. It is slower, but makes more ATP than anaerobic respiration. So the formula is O2 plus C6H12O6, which, remember, that's glucose, yields CO2, which is waste, H2O, which is a byproduct, and energy, the key point, in the form of ATP. And we contrast that with anaerobic respiration is when the body is unable to supply the cells with oxygen needed to break down glucose, right? So we're not able to get enough oxygen there quickly enough to supply the muscle cell with enough O2 to complete cellular respiration in time for all the ATP that is needed for that effort, right? So it's something that's high intensity that your muscle cell needs ATP extremely quickly. So this occurs in the cytoplasm of the cell. It's faster, but it makes less ATP. So as a result, the activity cannot be sustained for as long of a period, which is why it is done in short bursts. So lactic acid, this is a byproduct of anaerobic respiration, which remember is a quick burst of energy. So this happens even more quickly than the process of cellular respiration, but it produces less energy. So what it also can cause, this lactic acid can cause soreness in the muscles, if you have ever, felt really sore after a day of working out, or like you had to move boxes or something at home, and then the next day you had pain in your arms, that is what caused the pain. That's lactic acid. And athletes sometimes, will have professional massages to try to release that lactic acid from their muscles because it is a waste byproduct, just like carbon dioxide, that is produced in aerobic respiration and cellular respiration. Lactic acid is this byproduct of anaerobic respiration, but we can't exhale it out. Our body just has to break it down. And something like a massage can help your body break it down a little bit more quickly. Fun fact, yeast cells can also undergo anaerobic respiration, not in the presence of oxygen, during times when oxygen is low, like in a jug. However, unlike human beings, they do not produce lactic acid. Instead, they produce ethanol. And this alcohol is what's used in wines and other spirits. So, all right, go ahead and complete your exit ticket. That was Unit 5, Day 3 of the respiratory system. And we talked about the difference between aerobic and anaerobic respiration. And this is to help prepare for the Making Connections lab that we are going to do this week. I'm so excited. Don't forget to get a clothespin and see you all on Zoom tomorrow. Bye, guys.